What's up, guys? It's your boy Jim Eka here, coming at you with another tournament recap for Season 7, Week 6. The Sunday tournament was won by He Who Speaks to Himself with Sultai Processors. If you remember the name He Who Speaks to Himself, aka Elliot, or Elio, I'm just gonna call him Elio for the here on out. He was the sick pick of last week with the what was it? The cycling aggro deck with the cutting survivor and like Shadow Storm Vizier, things like that. And now he's come through with a whole new brew, and he actually won the tournament. He actually beat Rims Knight in the finals, which is no small feat. So shout out to him. And he's got this crazy, wacky Esper process, or I'm sorry, Sultai processes brew. So let's just like dive right into the mana base here. It's mostly blue black. It's not really like true Sultai. There's actually like only one or two green cards in the deck, but I just like saying Sultai just for the sake of it, just because I see Optic Palace, so I think Sultai. Island Swamps, there's some Vivids down there, and Evolving Wilds here. First of all, main deck Furnace is an interesting one. He actually gave me some notes, so I really appreciate the notes, Elio. But like I said in an earlier video, if you feel that you won the tournament and you want to shout some notes, just hit me up on Discord, and you can just throw me some notes. I really appreciate it. But for the most part, his understanding of this card, or his reasoning for this card, is that there's a ton of graveyard decks in the format, which is true. There are plenty of graveyard decks, and this is kind of a way to like it does help you get exile cards, so you can use your processes for other things. But it is just like free, it just kind of cycles on its own anyway. So it's never like truly dead. Horribly Awry is a devoid counterspell that does exile things, so another way to exile. Only counters 4 or less. Actually, the first time I read it, I thought it was every creature spell, which I thought was this is amazing. But there are enough like low to the ground creature decks that still have targets for. Maggot, Mesmeric Fiend also exile cards, and just kind of help disrupt your opponent in the early game. So later you can, if you have them in the exile pile, then you process them with no other processors later. Then they go away. They just get discarded, and you'll never see them again. So that's pretty neat here. Fathom Feeder is pretty good early blocker. And in the late game, it just helps you draw a card and process and stuff, so that's pretty cool here. And also, it's not bugged anymore, so this thing works all the time. Actually works as intended. Nightveil Spectre, another way to exile cards. Also, it's just a 2-3 blocker to boot. Not really super difficult to cast here, except if you have that single forest draw. Void Shatter, just a counterspell with upside of exiling things. Exiling is the name of the game, because basically you want to turn on a couple of different cards here, like Ulamog's Nullifier, which basically is a free counterspell. It's not really free, but you have to process 2 cards, and it comes on the body too, so that's pretty cool. Trader Rider can be nuts in some situations, especially if you have a bunch of these little guys here and just kind of bouncing stuff, so kind of cool, but especially good with Blight Herder, which is probably the best processor you can probably get in this deck. Makes 3 tokens on cast. It's a cast trigger, so even if they counter the Blight Herder and you process 2 cards, you're still going to get the tokens, which is pretty amazing with the Trader Rider. And then lastly, Prophet Crewfix is the sole green card in the main deck, just because you can like kind of do for interesting things. Like you'll always have your lands up top for Trader Rider, so that's pretty nuts. It turns like Brain Maggots and like Mesmeric Fiends into kind of like really like interesting Vendilion Click style things. Just instant speed and anything is pretty neat, but I think the best thing is like Trader Rider plus like Blight Herder, stuff like that. The sideboards, kind of mishmash of stuff. Extra furnaces for more exiling things. I actually think you probably want 3 or 4 in the main deck, to be honest with you. Nighthawk for the aggro decks, along with Deadweight. Sultai Charms, kind of like a Boost Army Blade of certain things, basically it's a disenchant or another ultimate price. And extra counter spells here, Void Shatters for sort of the more controlling decks, and Horribly Awry for the more lower the ground creature decks. This deck is sweet, This is kind of like, he made a sick run here, kind of, yeah, he beat Ribbons in the finals, and this is a pretty interesting deck, I gotta say, it's got a lot of things of it. I'd like to see like more processors, maybe, but maybe 7 is enough, or maybe just max Blighter. I remember this reminds me of the Mono Blue Eldrazi deck I played last season, which had a couple of processors, but I always remember Blighter just being like so good. And another card I'm actually surprised I'm not seeing is Corrupted Crossroads. So it's not really an Eldrazi deck. There's only about like 11 Eldrazi. One of them is colorless anyway, so I guess it's not really an Eldrazi deck. Although there's Horribly Ride, Void Shatter for Devoid spells. Yeah, Crossroads does that for that. So, you know, oh well. But anyway, if you want to see all the decks from this tournament, just check the description below. There'll be a link. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.